coming up, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys are studying really hard. So how many of you guys have actually stayed up like a few times because of homework? Well, whether it's for finals week or it's just for a regular school day, like for me, I've actually procrastinated a lot, kind of. But I kind of thought to myself, and I wondered, like, is this homework even going to benefit me in the future, like, besides my grade? And that leads to what I'm going to talk about today. I want to show you guys the negatives of having homework. I will be going over the stress levels, the time consumption, lowering test scores, and how schools in Finland have abolished homework. So, the main purpose of homework is to reinforce the material that has been taught in class. And, like, but how much is too much? Sometimes I feel like, just as a personal thought, and maybe as it might be a fact that instructors or teachers have been giving out unnecessary homework that doesn't really help the student at all. A survey from University of Michigan found that by 2002 to 2003 school year, students 6 to 17 were doing twice as much homework as in 1981 and 1882. This is due to the state mandated tests, just like the Cat 6 or like the STAR testings that you guys ever done in high school or even in elementary school. And this is all just because of the schools want the students to do better in these tests so that they would be, it's all about just the levels of like how great the schools are. And this leads to my first problem about stress. Well, obviously, when you have a lot of homework, this often leads to stress. And nowadays, getting accepted into a good university, it's pretty hard because the requirements are they're very high now, and it requires your grades to be a lot like better than before, as in like just like from the years before like 1900s, and your GPA is like another main important point into getting accepted into a good university. And also because like a lot of people nowadays want to go to college, so like a lot of more applications are actually posted out, and this causes a lot of pressure and stress given to like homework at an early age, because they want students to do better and they want students to actually just like know what they're doing. But then it becomes a little tedious for the students, and it becomes a burden to carry. Denise Pope, senior lecturer at Stanford Graduate School of Education, and her colleagues found that too much homework can diminish its effectiveness and be counterproductive, from the Stanford News. And also from the Stanford News, about 56% of students consider homework as primary source of stress, while 43% on tests as primary and 33% on good grades. So this percentage just shows that a lot of students, homework is just like a primary source of their stress, and because of that, like the only reason why they're doing the homework is because of grades. And this leads to my second main point about test scores and time consumption. Well, we all know that test scores make up like most of our grade, and so that's why like whatever homework that we receive is kind of like, it's like the little bit of extra credit that we need to keep our grade up in case we don't do well on the exams or tests. And Harris Cooper, professor of education at Duke University, recommend that students be given no more than 10 to 15 minutes of homework per night in second grade, which with increase of no more than 10 to 15 minutes in each successive year. So then that just means that every year, like as the years go, like for the grade level of the year, often the homework is supposed to increase by 10 to 15 minutes. But for us, it's just that with more homework time though, it means that we have less time to be prepared for school. And it just means that we become tired and we become unfocused about what to learn for the next day. And it also means that we have no social activity. And it's just like, as a personal story for mine, I had a friend of mine back in high school who, she would never go out at all. She would always tell me, oh, I'm busy, I have homework to do, I have an AP test, and you know, all that stuff. And it just kind of like made me feel like she's so caught up with homework and all these tests, like is she ever going to have a social life? Is she ever going to hang out with me? So then that's just kind of like, I just thought that if she had less homework, it'd just be a lot easier for her and she would be a lot less stressed out. And that leads to my last main point, that we should consider Finland's perspective on abolishing homework. Neomam's Studios states that students get more teacher interaction from student to teacher ratio of 1 to 12 in Finland, comparing to 1 to 24 in New York City. And what the difference between that is that in a ratio of 1 to 12, students actually don't, like the students actually need help. They don't need to be sent out to a different classroom for special needs or like special help. Rather that the students in those classes from the 1 to 12 ratio, they actually get help straight from the classroom in there. A minimum standardized testing in New York City, students actually take 10 of those standardized tests in New York City, while in Finland they only have to take 1 at the age of 16. And this is cited from the Neomam Studios again. And this relates to basically that they don't have to worry as much about the test, and that they're stressed out about homework less because they don't really need the homework. They don't really need the homework to be able to pass those tests. And then another fact is that teachers in Finland, they need master's degrees, and only 10% of the graduates graduates are accepted into teaching programs. And this is cited from the Neomam Studios again. So it just means that they're very picky about their teachers, and often that just means that the teachers that teach, they get a better, they know what they're like. It's like they know what they're saying. So in conclusion, I have gone over the stress levels, the time consumption, and also another country's perspective on no homework. Showing these 3 points, they're from something like that you end up not learning from, which is homework, and you can see how homework would be a good thing to ban in your life. And then I want you to rethink about the homework that you do or like are assigned. Is it even worth it? Thank you.
Marco, were you here?
Marco Lopez?
Yes. Comments?
I thought Sarah did a good job speaking to the audience, and her topic was relevant, and she related it to the audience well. So I'm sure we're all going through comments right now. But she did have good eye contact for the most part, but for her facts, which she did have a lot of, she referred to the note cards a lot and looked down for them, and I felt like that happened a lot. But she had good flow and good structure to her speech. She stated her claims in the intro and then restated them in the conclusion. She did have a verbal tick. She kept saying a lot, and that took away from the speech, but we still got the message. Overall, I think she did a good job.
Okay. Yeah, I thought the preview was a little bit thin, and in the body of the speech, the structure is not as clear as it needs to be. The summary, I think, helped a little bit. I think it reminded us exactly what you were supposed to be getting across. There's also kind of a discrepancy on some of the issues, because sometimes the problem seems to be test taking, and sometimes it seems to be about homework. So there needs to be a little bit more focus or consistency on the homework issue. I thought you did a very nice job citing a variety of authorities in your presentation, and I'd agree with Marco about most of the presentation comments. I thought you did a very good job for the most part. I didn't have a problem with you looking down for the stats and the quotes. I thought you did okay in those situations, so I didn't find it all that distracting. I do think you need to have a little bit more data on the so-called stress that students have, or the loss of their social lives. That's where you're relying on anecdotal evidence there, and that's a little thin, which is a reference to the earlier speech, a little thin. So even though I can't talk, I can still make a bad joke. Sorry.